Four ancient pueblos, one desert loop, a sandstone tower at Wukoki, a massive community hub at Wupatki, a hilltop stronghold at the Citadel, and the beautiful house of Lomaki. Each one tells a different story, and together they reveal the real Wupatki. This is the first stop on the loop road, Wukoki Pueblo. Each side along the drive is different, and together they tell the full story of Wupatki. Now I'm at the Wukoki Pueblo Trail. Check out this pueblo behind me. How amazing is that? What a neat spot this is. Can you see these ripples on the sandstone? That shows that the area was way different at one time, underwater even. And the sandstone, how it's eroded and made these little tiny divots in the stone. So this is just a really quick trail. It's about 0.6 miles. It's a little loop. And we're going to check out this amazing pueblo that still stands after all these years. And this pueblo is 900 years old. And my goodness, it still looks so good. And you can actually go inside. You just can't sit or touch anything, but we can go inside and take a good look in there. Again, for being 900 years old, this place looks really good. The craftsmanship is really amazing. The last time I drove through here, I made the mistake of skipping this ruin completely. Big regret. This time, I'm the only one here, and it feels incredible. Wukoki was built around 900 years ago by the ancestral Puebloan people, the same culture that built Wupatki. Archaeologists think around the 1100s to 1200s, farming families lived here, growing corn, beans, and squash in the volcanic soil nearby. The tower-like design gave wide views across the desert, and water from the nearby washes would have been essential for survival. Like the other pueblos in this region, Wukoki was eventually abandoned around the late 1200s. Drought, shifting trade routes, and cultural changes likely pushed people to move on. The descendants of these people include today's Hopi, Zuni, and other Pueblo tribes, who still consider this land sacred. What an amazing spot. I just always find it so fascinating when structures like this are still around and still in such great shape with doors and windows. You're actually allowed to walk inside these rooms, and with my 360 camera, I can stick it through the windows for some amazing views. The walls rise 3 stories high in places, and the way this pueblo sits on top of the sandstone outcrop makes it look almost like a natural fortress. This is so cool, and I have the place all to myself. This is why I get up super early, so I have these places to myself. I'm sure it gets busy. This is a really neat spot. It's way cooler than I thought it'd be. All these little windows and little doors. You can see like this used to be a window here that had to get filled in or something. Really cool. The walls you see here are mostly original masonry, carefully stacked sandstone blocks. The National Park Service has done some stabilization work over the years to prevent collapse, but this is not a modern reconstruction. What you're looking at is the real thing, preserved by the dry desert climate. Wukoki is smaller than Wupatki, but it's one of my favorites because of how intact it feels. Standing here alone, you can almost imagine what life was like, looking out over the desert from these walls nearly 1,000 years ago. Back on the loop, the road leads to the largest site in the monument, Wupatki Pueblo. More than 100 rooms once stood here, and it became the center of life in the whole region. As I walk up the path toward the overlook, the massive shape of Wupatki Pueblo unfolds. This is the namesake pueblo of the monument. Over 100 rooms once filled the structure. Around the year 1182, Wupatki Pueblo may have held 85 to 100 people within its walls. But the influence of Wupatki was larger than just its walls. Within a day's walk, thousands more lived in the basin, using this place as a cultural, economic, and social hub. Man, check out all these little rooms. Looks like they're doing some maintenance to this structure here. Well, it looks like you used to be able to go up in there. That would have been cool. But I can definitely see why after 900 years or whatever, how long it was. After all that time, I can see why it would need to have a little bit of rehab. I mean, my house was built not that long ago and it needs some work. So I can't imagine all the maintenance to try to keep these structures intact. What you're seeing is mostly original masonry, thin, flat blocks of local sandstone held together with mortar. But don't think it's completely untouched. Over the decades, the National Park Service has done stabilization work, bracing walls, repointing mortar where it's eroded, capping vulnerable tops so water won't seep in. In fact, in the 1930s, some rooms were excavated and stabilized, and a few were reconstructed or roofed to protect them. Restoration and preservation continue with grant funding like a $1.3 million Getty grant, helping to guide long-term conservation planning. Oh, there's a lizard. Why did people build here? Several reasons. After the eruption of Sunset Crater at 1085 or so, volcanic ash enriched soils in surrounding areas, allowing more successful dryland farming, including maize, beans, and squash, despite the arid climate. Wupatki became a trading and gathering center. Artifacts found here included shells, turquoise, and beads, and other exotic materials, show connections far beyond the desert. The ball court, yes, a ball court, suggests ceremonial or social games occurred here. This is one of the northernmost known ball courts. Check out this ball court here behind me. They would play games here with other tribes. This is also where they would have ceremonies.
They would also come here to trade different goods. So this was really a popular spot. It's a really nice little area.
And adjacent, a natural blowhole, a geological vent where air either exhales or inhales from fissures below. On certain days, it can push air out at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. That blowhole is boxed with masonry, so visitors can lean over and feel the wind. Many indigenous groups see this feature as spiritually significant. It's more than just a curiosity.
So this is my little cloth that I use to clean my camera lenses. And check this out. Look at how fast that wind is blowing. Isn't that amazing? So this right here is my favorite spot. It's a blowhole and you can hear it. And it's the cold air coming out of this vent. It's been recorded to come out as fast as 30 miles an hour. Looks like some air conditioning. This is where I'd put my Pueblo, right on top of this.
By about 1225, the site was more or less permanently abandoned. It probably wasn't a sudden collapse, rather a gradual shift. Drought, climate change, water stress, shifting trade networks, or perhaps social political transformations may have led families to relocate to more sustainable areas. Importantly, the story is not they vanished. Descendant communities include the Hopi, Zuni, Navajo, and others regard these places as ancestral, sacred, and spiritually present. I also went inside the visitor center, and it's packed with information and history that's absolutely worth the stop. The loop drive continues through open desert to Citadel Pueblo. From the road, it looms high, perched on top of a small cinder hill, giving you a commanding view of everything around. Citadel was occupied during the same broad time frame as the other pueblos, from early 1100s through mid-1200s CE. The same regional droughts, erosion of cinder mulch, shifts in climate and resources that led to abandonment of Wupatki and other sites would have affected this place too. Citadel was built with basalt and sandstone, walls following the shape of the hill itself. It's about half the size of Wupatki, roughly 50 rooms in its peak configuration. Below the main hilltop pueblo is Nalakihu, house standing outside the village, which had utility rooms and helped support the upper structure. I hovered my 360 camera over the dwelling below the main structure so you can see how the rooms curve around the slope. Citadel wasn't an isolated house. It was part of a network. Smaller family pueblos around it, farms and terraces, water catchments, check dams, and paths leading toward the fields. It likely hosted a community hub, social, agricultural, defensive, or observational roles. The hill gives good line of sight to surrounding pueblos, which would allow communication or monitoring. One striking thing you can see from the top is a sinkhole or collapsed depression, sometimes called Citadel Sink, formed where limestone underneath dissolved out and the surface collapsed. That collapse gives you an idea of the geology here. Underground cracks, dissolved rock, layers of basalt flows over older formations. In the broader Wupatki Basin, there are many fissures, earth cracks, vents, and blowholes, some connected to underground cavern systems. Up ahead is the last stop on our tour of the ancient structures, Lomaki Pueblo, plus the Box Canyon dwellings along its flanks. Lomaki, in Hopi, it means beautiful house. It's a small pueblo, about 9 rooms, built from local limestone and sandstone near the end of the 1100s. What's cool is how these rooms hug the rim of a box canyon. The ruins below, the Box Canyon Pueblos, occupy the canyon walls, and Lomaki sits on the rim overlooking them. That canyon you see down below, it's a natural depression or crack in the ground. Water and soil would gather there, making it a more protected spot for growing crops or giving cover to smaller dwellings. Some of the smaller structures on either side of that earth crack, the canyon, may have housed extended family that supported the people living in Lomaki proper. The ruins you see are stabilized, not reconstructed. Over years, starting in the 1930s and 50s, motoring, capping walls, resetting stone, and installing hidden supports have helped preserve the structure. Earlier preservation used more aggressive methods, like cement tinted to match original mortar, but current practice favors mortar mixes more like what the ancestral builders used to reduce stress on the stones. I'm amazed at how well preserved these structures are. You have to really crouch down to get through these doors. Lomaki and the Box Canyon Pueblos might be smaller than Wupatki or Citadel, but they tie into a larger network. They show how people adapted to every nook of the landscape. When you hike down, you'll notice other walls and ruins on surrounding mesas and hillsides, hints that this whole area was more densely populated than what meets the eye. Lomaki sits above a canyon where small dwellings cling to the walls below. It's modest in scale, 9 rooms, but rich in contrast. It's a fitting final chapter to the loop of ruins, showing how people use terrain creatively. That wraps up my day exploring the ancient pueblos of Wupatki National Monument, one of the most fascinating places in northern Arizona. But the journey doesn't end here. On my way back to Phoenix, I'm taking the long route through Sedona and Oak Creek Canyon, one of the most beautiful drives in the state. And next time, we'll finish the Volcanic Arizona series with a hike to the top of Doney Mountain, where you can see nearly every place we've explored in this series. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes. the drive through Sedona, and the final climb that ties it all together.